I'm still working on how to actually say this, but I'll just, talk as I go. Because, like, I was thinking about how there's people who will cheer for you or notice things you're, quite good at, and they'll be like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you're brilliant, you're smart, whatever, whatever. But then it's like, the thing that trips me up is sometimes that can also be the same exact people who, like, they're the reason why you have low self esteem today, you know? And low self esteem, like, people like that, it doesn't happen overnight or because of one incident in childhood or whatever, or one incident in high school. It's little tiny things that go boop, 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 and they build up, build up, build up. All those little tiny things get you all the way up to here, and all of a sudden you're like, say, 20 years old, and you have zero self belief, zero self trust, zero follow through, whatever. Yeah, those things don't happen in a day. But anyway, I was just thinking about how it's like how you are in your household and like how you treat your kids. It really matters because it'll be like the people who swear they most believe in you could also be the people who did the worst for your self esteem. And maybe it's because of the person themselves, maybe it's the way they were raised. I don't know. And I don't pretend to know. But I'm just saying, like, it's little things like if you trying to cook some eggs on the stove, right? And like, this could be anybody. It doesn't have to be parents or friends. Like, it could be any person. Like, just say, suppose you cooking eggs on the stove, and then the person's like, "No, you can't cook it that way. Oh my God, you gotta add this thing first. You gotta add that thing first. Oh." And then you try to flip the egg, flip the egg like it's an omelet, and they're like, "No, you can't do it that way." Blah blah blah. Like, kids growing up, like, they need to be allowed to try different things and try and fail. Like, it's okay. It's okay to say, "Hey, I want to try it this way," and then be like, "Womp womp, it failed." Like, it's okay. Or like, how kids will be like, I mean, parents will, like, feed the kids on the rug or something because they don't want the kid to be messy and get all this stuff on the rug. But then it's also like, well, the kid has to practice using a fork and spoon, like, and feeding themselves. Like, they have to practice it sometime, or else when they go up to, like, to the higher grades, the higher level of daycare, they won't be able to feed themselves. You see what I'm saying? Like, the whole reason and the whole way that kids learn is by being able to try and mess up and then not be reprimanded for it, just having people say, okay, it's okay, you spilled it, just go clean it up, like, we just get some paper towels or whatever, get the mop, whatever it is, we clean it up. Okay, let's try this again, you know or like how you could have them like try to carry a cup of water, like, just across the room, like, say, just whatever it is, those little exercises, and they carry the cup, right? And of course they spill it, right? And they're like, "Oh no, I spilled it," whatever. It's like, it's okay, bro. Like, it's okay. We just clean it up and then we try again. It's like, of course, it makes sense to be upset if that was your favorite juice or something. But also, it's like the kids learn those kind of reactions from their parents. So it's like if you spilled a little, I don't know, something small on the floor, right? And then your parents gonna like blow up at you about it, right? That's gonna train you to be super anxious about those things, and you're not gonna trust yourself the next time you gotta go carry stuff across the room. You're like, "Oh no, what if I drop the water? What if I spill it?" And when it's like, in reality, it's not so big of a deal. Like, it's all relative. Like, that's why like, people with anxiety or people who grow up with people who, kind of give them anxiety, people who help them develop it, it's like, um they'll be like, that's how small things turn into big things that don't need to be, because, like, sometimes, in one case, like, of course, not everything is childhood trauma, but, in one case, or childhood, anyway, um but, like, when you're constantly taught that these, little things like spilling juice, or one of the clothes fell out of the hamper while you was carrying it across the floor or up the stairs or whatever, when you're taught that these like little messages, these little things are, oh my God, such a big deal. Like, then it's like when you get older, you're like, oh no, I can't, for lack of better words, like I can't, like, do the laundry properly. Like, what if the person sees me and da 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 da, you know? It's like all those stuff it's not always, sometimes it's just learned, honestly. And it has nothing to do with you yourself or your own level of competency. It's just like a trained and learned um, self-doubt system, basically. And then that's how the kids, like kids are here and they become adults, but who have no trust in themselves, or like I said earlier, no follow through or whatever, right? And then it's like the parents will be like, "Oh my God, you can do anything! Like you're great!" And then the kid's like, "What?" Because like it really comes down to the little things, like those little everyday chores and stuff. And if you gotta get yelled at over the tiniest mistakes, how are you supposed to then become like a functioning adult, like a functioning independent adult, who has a strong enough mind to say like, yeah, I can do this, yeah, I can do this, and if I don't know, I can ask. You know what I'm saying? Like even there's even kids who it's like it's not enough that somebody kind of eroded your self-esteem over time. It could also be that um you learned you can't even ask for help because maybe you ask for help when you're growing up and you're like, you don't know how to do that? And you're like, no, I don't. I'm a kid who needs someone to teach me. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why, like, I don't know why it doesn't click. Like, I'm not a parent. Okay, I'm not a parent, but I have been in daycare and whatnot. Look, I'm not a parent, so don't come at me for that. But this is just my 2 cents from what I learned over time, over the years. But it's just like people, like, yes, there are some things that are natural that come naturally, right? But I feel like people don't, or like parents in general, don't seem to like, internalize, like, yes, you have to teach your kid this stuff, like, like money or insurance, or how to go sweep the floor, how to do the laundry, um, how to load the dishwasher if you have one, like how how can you use the vacuum? How can you plug in appliances safely? Blah 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 blah. Like all those things do need to be taught. Like they should be taught. Like that's why in the thing about like black hair, even that hair care, right? It's not usually taught from mother to mother, like at least in mother to daughter, or mother to child, at least in black communities. That's another thing that we always talk about, how like nobody taught us how to actually do our hair. We learned from YouTube. YouTube was my hairstylist, or whatever you call it, my hair whatever you call it. I mean, aside from the fact that everyone's natural hair is different, but you see what I'm saying? It's like I feel like people forget how many things actually do need to be taught, and that it's not any fault on the child. It's not any fault of their. It's not to say they lack competency or something like that. It's just yeah, it needs to be taught. Like just like how um I don't know their stories, but I bet like when you usually see those super young kids on YouTube and they're like millionaires or they make six figures whatever, and they're like 12 or whatever, like something ridiculous like that, or they're 18, right? Something ridiculous like that. Well, you know what? It's because they got a head start. They had somebody to teach them. Hey, they're like, hey, kid. Sorry. Oh my god. Anyway, so like their parents or their aunts, uncle, whatever, family relative, they're like, hey, this is what I learned in forex trading. I'm gonna teach you. Like like they take the time to impart their knowledge onto the kid. And not only that, but they also give them something to start with. Like how some families will like start their kid off with the what's it called, a portfolio. You know what I'm saying? So that they're not starting from zero. Like they give them an account that they can invest, so they don't have to so the child doesn't have to take out their own money to start. You get what I mean, okay? I'm just saying, like, they had a leg up. They had somebody to teach them, so they start at 50 instead of zero. Maybe they start at 20 instead of zero, right? Compared to other kids who are literally starting at zero. Or, maybe you're starting at -5, -10. You see what I'm saying? Like, everything is not, that's why they always have the difference between the words equal and equitable. Right, like everybody does not start on the same page. Like even though yeah, everybody's birthed in the world for the, you know, first time in their life, like or at least the first time you're let's not go into all that. Everybody's born into the world as a baby, okay? Sure. But it's like depending on your family, what you got access to, yes, you do have a leg up. Um, but anyway, going back to what I was saying, yeah, just remember that there are things that actually do need to be taught, bro, and teach your kids. And just remember about how you teach them, how you teach your kids affects it. And there's stuff that the parent won't remember. Maybe you will remember 20 years later, but the kid does, like it's a lasting impact, you know. So anyway, yeah.